Hey, shout out to the members of this channel. You guys are the best. You ask, I'll deliver. I'm the 1 year anniversary of the channel, by the way. So, USC recap. USC versus Mississippi State. This one started off great. JuJu Watkins, she was drawing the double team attention as usual. She was passing out of it really well. First play of the game, I believe, led to a hockey assist from her. TVO knocked down a wide open three. She's been shooting with a lot of confidence. I know I said this a few videos ago, but it's worth repeating that she's been shooting with a lot of confidence. Love to see it and hope it continues. She knocked that down. We got a transition bucket from Kennedy Smith. That's something else that I've been asking for because she hasn't really had a lot of variation in her shot attempts. There's been a lot of shots from the 3 point line, and she can score from all over the court. So I was really pleased to see that. She followed that up with the corner three that she knocked down, also coming from JuJu Watkins' defensive attention. Then we saw JuJu Watkins draw the trap on a pick and roll with her and Kiki iriafen. Kiki knocked that down. We're off and rolling. We're off and rolling. And then JuJu went down for the season. Of course, I'm not going to show the video here because I was raised with morals, right? But what I will show is some of the impact that she's had this season. Not just on the court. We already know what she does for her team and what she means for her team, but just some of the impact that she's had for her community, not just Watts, not just LA, but the basketball community, the country as a whole, being an inspiration to little girls all across the country, being really giving of her time, really gracious, whether it's at home in the Galen Center or on the road when other fans come out to see other teams, well, to see her actually. But she's really been gracious and giving of her time. And so I just wanted to give a shout out and shine some light on that. As you know, instead of focusing on what happened and the knee injury and everything like that, we know she'll come back stronger than ever. And I would be remiss if I didn't say get well soon, even though I know she's heard it a million times at this point. So shout out to JuJu. Can't wait to see you back on the court. Now, getting back to the game, for USC, this was a chance to prove a lot of people wrong because in my comments and other comments, I've seen a lot of people say this team is JuJu or bust. And they showed that they're a lot more than that, a whole lot more than that. Let's start with Kiki iriafen. 36 points in this one, set the USC tournament record with 36 points. Not new to this at all. When she played for Stanford and Cameron Brink was out in the second round of the NCAA tournament, just like this game was, she went for 41. So this is something that we've seen from her already. But 36 points, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks, a lot of leadership on display. Now, we'll talk about her draft status and stuff like that on a different video, but the leadership that she showed, the poise, the composure, when tensions ran high, she brought levity to the court. She was everything in this game. Kiki iriafen was everything. She was everywhere. 16 for 22 from the field, very efficient. And yeah, it was a masterclass. It really was a masterclass that she put on. Rhea Marshall, the other senior leader on this team, one who's been there since day one, she brought a lot of fight, and that's something else that you need. I mean, you need different dynamic personalities to make a team. She definitely was ready to go to war, literally, for her team. She had 12 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 2 steals. And like I said, she was out there bringing a fight. She was 4 for 6 in this one, 3 for 3 from the free throw line. I know there's a lot of WNBA teams right now that need a defensive anchor and an enforcer. I don't think there's anybody in the draft who brings that more than Rhea Marshall does. So she put that all on display in this game, and the team needed every bit of it. Kennedy Smith, like I said, I've been looking for her to score with a little bit more variety, and she definitely did that in this one. 4 for 8, only 4 were from the 3 point line, only 4 of her attempts. She had 10 points, 5 steals, and 1 block. Everybody already knows she's a defensive lockdown, but she's just starting to scratch the surface to show her two-way ability because she's an offensive player who I believe could easily average 15 points a game this season if she wasn't playing with the highest scoring duo in the country. Avery Howell, 18 points, 6 assists, 0 turnovers in this game. He's been her most consistent shooter all season long. Seems like every single game she's going 2 for 4, but in this game she added some volume to that with the more shot attempts. She had 4 for 9, and that's big because they'll be playing Kansas State next. And we saw what Tamara Poindexter did. She hit 8 threes, I believe, and she's been shooting 3 pointers with volume all season long. So to have somebody like Avery Howell on the other side who can kind of balance that out, go shot for shot with her, that's going to be big in the next game coming up. So love to see that from Avery. Kaylee Heckle also was huge in this game. 5 for 7 from the field. She had 13 points, also had 6 assists with just 1 turnover. Her and Howell, Heckle and Howell having 12 assists and 1 turnover combined, that's big time for them. The way that Katie can get past anybody at any time and get to the rim, that's something that brings a different dimension to USC's game. Honestly, in my opinion, that's the reason they didn't win the game versus UCLA for the Big Ten championship. It's because we didn't see K9 out there. But that's neither here nor there. We did see her in this game, and Mississippi State was not pleased with what they saw, I'm pretty sure. She also had 2 steals. So some of that defensive intensity that she brings, along with Malia Samuels off the bench, both of those two, they're going to really need that. They bring a lot of intensity and pressure. Those entry passes, she was dropping those things in perfectly. I really love good passers. Her passing is something that I highlighted on a video before the season even started. So to see that on display in the game once again, love to see it. I was really proud of how the team responded in this game. I loved how the crowd responded. There was a lot of emotion coming from the crowd, but it wasn't just emotion, energy, or effort that they played with. It was the execution. They were out there playing a clinical style of basketball, moving the ball around. There was a lot of times when they scored and it seemed like as if the ball didn't even touch the ground at all. No dribbles. They didn't necessarily light it up from the 3-point line or anything like that. They were 8 for 24, a decent game at 33%, but it was just more the execution. And that's something I think is very repeatable. They had 29 assists on 35 field goals. That's phenomenal basketball. It was really pretty to watch. It was hard to watch because of everything that happened with JuJu Watkins earlier in the game, but watching it again on a replay with the emotions aside, this was a beautiful game just to watch the way that they executed in this one. If they can get 29 assists on 35 field goals, I still think no team in the country can beat them. I'll just be honest with you. I'll just be honest with you. Now they have a big game coming up against K-State. Ayoka Lee, I think she's the only player in the country who can play 18 minutes and still give you 17 and 12. And if she plays extended minutes, then we already know what she can do with those. She's definitely going to go for 30, but I think Kiki can match her bucket for bucket. I think we have the size to match up with Serena Sundell. That's a player who I also made a video on earlier this season, somebody who I think is underrated going into the draft. She had 18 points and 14 assists, I believe, in her last game. So like I said, a lot of value there for where she's projected to go. She posts up a lot of smaller guards. Luckily for us, we have Kennedy Smith and we have Avery Howe, who aren't smaller guards. I think they can match her in that post. They also have Glenn Poindexter as well. They have a lot. They pose a big problem, but I believe that USC can match up with them for sure in this game. And then we'll talk about any potential Elite Eight matchups once we get there. Going forward, I still think USC has a really good chance at making a run. Now, to contain Ayoka Lee, we're probably going to have to see a little bit more Clarice than what we saw in this game. We only saw her for 13 minutes. This was her last game ever at the Galen Center. I could see she got a little bit emotional at the end of it, but hey, it's not over. The season isn't over for her. We're going to see a lot of her potentially in the next game versus K-State and possibly moving forward depending on who they face up with. And so I'm looking forward to it. I had to take a day to sleep off some of the disappointment of seeing JuJu's season end early, but as far as USC is concerned, I'm still all in. And that's pretty much what I've heard from the rest of the fan base who I actually communicate with at least. I've heard the same thing from them. We're all still pretty confident that they can pull this thing off. So, hey, fight on.